Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Hope you all had a very good Christmas and enjoyed the football feast on Boxing Day. But the games are obviously coming thick and fast. This is another Premier League prediction show with the upcoming games coming up on the 28th, 29th, 30th of this week. It's going to be a massive week in store of Premier League football that will affect the entirety of the Premier League table, and of course in this video is where I analyse it and also give my predictions on all of the upcoming games. So far there have been about 3, as of the time of recording, postponed matches for this week's fixtures, and there's still plenty of football to sink our teeth into. Before we go any further though, I would like to remind you to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get into the predictions. We were going to begin with Arsenal versus Wolves, but this is one of the 3 games that as of right now has been postponed. So instead we'll move on to a game that at the moment is going ahead, or is set to go ahead, between Crystal Palace and Norwich at Selhurst Park. Both sides coming to this game off the back of defeats, of course, with Palace losing 3-0 to Spurs, whilst Norwich lost in that thumping 5-0 defeat to Arsenal. It's an intriguing game, this one, and maybe a bit more difficult to call than what many people may think, depending on if Palace's COVID situation has expanded and gone through the rest of the team. It might mean that this game possibly gets called off, or they have to field a weakened side, which may tip the scales more in the Canaries' favour. Assuming the situation though hasn't changed from their previous game against Spurs, and assuming that, as we know right now, everything is the same and that no teams are facing COVID sort of, or more COVID sort of issues or any injuries like that or anything, then Palace should go on and win this game, and that's what I'm going to predict. I'm going for a 2-1 Palace victory. Next we come to the Saints clashing with Spurs as Southampton host Tottenham at St Mary's. Both sides coming to this game off the back of victories in their previous game, with the Saints beating West Ham by 3-2 and Spurs beating Crystal Palace by 3-0. It's an interesting game again, this one. Spurs seem to have turned a corner under Antonio Conte in the past couple of games, especially for Harry Kane as well, who scored 2 in his last 2 games, so much improvement there, of course. Whilst their opponents in Southampton are a team that seem to be pretty inconsistent. You don't really know which Saints team is going to be turning up and whether they're going to actually give Tottenham a real good game here, or whether they're going to be really passive and probably let Spurs play their game and probably get beaten. On paper, Spurs should be winning this game, but this does have the potential to be a big banana skin kind of fixture for Spurs. But in saying that, I do expect Spurs to go on and win this game, and that's why I'm going for a 3-1 Spurs win. Next up, we're at Vicarage Road for Watford versus West Ham. Watford, of course, haven't been seen in action for a few weeks now, since their COVID issues really hit them hard, whilst West Ham were, of course, beaten last time out by Southampton 3-2. It'll be interesting to see if this time this game will go ahead, and whether or not the time away from the pitch will have done Watford, will have had a positive effect on Watford, or whether they will lack a bit of match sharpness in returning to action for this game against West Ham. Speaking of the Hammers, of course, it's possible that the season may be catching up with them a little bit. A slip up against Southampton last time out really wasn't on the cards for David Moyes' side. But really, on paper, this should be going one way, and that should be a win for West Ham. It's the more favourable and likely result, and although we shouldn't disregard Watford completely, that is going to be my prediction. I am predicting that West Ham will win this game, and I'm going to say it will end 2-1 to the Hammers. Next up, we're going to be talking about Leeds versus Aston Villa, which on paper looked to be a very intriguing game ahead. But as we now know it, this game has also been postponed. Next, the Blues clash with the Seagulls as Chelsea take on Brighton at Stamford Bridge. Both sides coming to this game off the back of wins last time out. Chelsea beat Aston Villa 3-1, whilst Brighton ended their winless streak with a 2-0 victory over Brentford. Chelsea's victory on Sunday has been seen by many as the victory that gets them back in the title race, but it certainly doesn't get any easier from this point forward, as Brighton have proven to be tough opposition for most teams this season. Chelsea should be winning this game on paper, but Brighton are going to be tricky opponents, and a draw here wouldn't be all that shocking or surprising at all. However, in saying that, Chelsea do tend to get the edge in this game, and that is why I'm going to give them the edge once again here and say that the Blues come out of this game as winners, and I'm going to predict that this game will finish 2-1 to Chelsea come the final whistle. Next up, Brentford take on Manchester City. Brentford, of course, lost 2-0 to Brighton last time out, while City were in the absolute goals fest of a game against Leicester City, in which they came out as 6-3 winners against the Foxes on Sunday. It's a game that should have a more predictable outcome, you feel. All things considered, and with all due respect, City, with their recent form, with the goal-scoring mood that they are in, they should be winning this game and winning it pretty comfortably. I want Brentford, as much as the next rival fan of Manchester City, to get something from this game, and I pray and I hope that maybe Brentford can shock us and provide some sort of upset in this game and take something from Manchester City, but I just, unfortunately, do not see it. City to win 4-0 is my prediction here. In another game that so far has not been cancelled, we are at Goodison Park for Everton taking on Newcastle. Of course, Everton's last game was postponed due to COVID issues within the club, whilst Newcastle are set to be playing Manchester United tonight as of the time of recording. Both sides in need of points. Everton needs them to ease the pressure a little bit on manager Rafa Benitez, whilst Newcastle need them for obvious reasons, being within the relegation zone. It's a big game for both sides, this one. I genuinely could see this game going any which way. Either side could manage to get the edge and win this game, but I'm actually going to call it down the middle here. I'm going to say that this game will finish a draw and say that this game will end 2-2 come the final whistle. And in our penultimate game on this list, Burnley travel to Manchester to take on Manchester United at Old Trafford. United, as I said previously, are in action tonight as of the time of recording against Newcastle, so that will see them back in action and returning to the Premier League, whilst Burnley, of course, haven't been seen in Premier League action for a while because of COVID issues. It's a game in which, again, the more likely outcome is seemingly visible in this one. On paper, United should be the winners of this game, but of course, games are not won on paper. And whilst 3 points should be heading in United's direction, this has the potential to be another banana skin kind of fixture for United. And Burnley, therefore, shouldn't be completely disregarded before a ball is even kicked. And they do have the possibility of taking something from this game. However, in saying that, the likely outcome is of a United victory, and that's why my prediction is a 2-1 win to Manchester United. And finally, for the final game on this list, arguably the biggest fixture of this round of fixtures, the main event in my opinion of this round of fixtures, we are at the King Power Stadium for Leicester City against Liverpool. Now, Leicester, of course, were involved in the absolute goals fest of a fixture last time out, which they came out on the wrong end of a 6-3 scoreline to Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. Whilst Liverpool's last game was called off due to COVID. Almost a week ago, these two sides met in the Carabao Cup, where Leicester were 3-1 up before Liverpool came back to win it on penalties. Liverpool have seemingly had a little bit extra time to prepare for this fixture and will likely welcome back some big additions to their squad who have been absent through contracting COVID, of course, in recent weeks, whilst Leicester may still be feeling the effects of losing to both Liverpool last week, despite being 3-1 up, and then, of course, losing that goals fest on Boxing Day they suffered at the hands of Manchester City. I expect Liverpool to win this game. I'm always backing my team, of course, and that is why I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to the Reds. But this one will be a very interesting game nonetheless. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of the upcoming round of Premier League fixtures that are set to be taking place this week. As of the time of recording, like I say, there are only 2 games that are being postponed. Fingers crossed there aren't much more. What do you make of the games? And of course, most of all, what are your predictions on the games? I'm sure they'll all make for interesting reading down below in the comment section. Also, fantasy football managers, who do you see having a good week? Who do you see having a bad week? Who are you putting into your teams? Who are you taking out of your teams? I'm sure that will make for interesting reading as well. All those things, especially the predictions side, all making for interesting reading down below in the comment section. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you all again soon in another video.